I just absolutely adore Given. It's been one of my personal favorite anime ever since it aired, it being something that has resonated with me ever since I first saw it, and as the days go by, I grow to love it more and more, especially with Mafuyu. He is a character I can relate to deeply, with his mannerisms, with how he struggles to cope with the loss of loved ones, seemingly empty-minded on the outside but is unable to speak his true thoughts, and really just how he is as a person. I relate to those aspects to him deeply, and, he's adorable, and I love him so. I more so want to talk about Mafuyu and Uenoyama's relationship in this video rather than Haruki and Akihiko, but I plan on covering them in a separate video. I'm also just going to be talking about what has been animated currently, mainly because we have another movie on the way, so I don't want to go spoiling what will be covered in that, because, the manga just finished and everything like that. Also, more so just going to be talking about the anime itself rather than mentioning anything from the movie and the OVA, because the anime itself focuses on Mafuyu and Uenoyama's relationship. So, with that in mind, spoiler warnings and all, and yeah. For those of you unaware what Given is, it is a BL and music anime that originally started as manga run in 2013, and got its adaptation in 2019. And it tells the story of a band who was originally named The Seasons, and it shows the story of how they came to be, all the love, all the drama, getting jobs, and pretty much everything in between. And really feels like an actual band. The anime starts off with us being introduced to one of our four main protagonists, Mafuyu Sato. And, he's absolutely precious and adorable, and I love him so much. I love his design, he's so cute, his voice is amazing. Anyways, we see that he seems to be very distant and cold, with him repeating, "I'm not lonely," which will be a recurring theme. We see him staring at a hanging body, and then proceeding to snap the strings of the guitar that he is holding. I just love how the anime sets the tone perfectly here. It shows that, while it may be BL and a music anime, it lets us, the viewer, know that there are going to be more serious undertones and plot points. It lets us know right away that it's more than just a romance anime. At that and the song in the background sets the somber tone perfectly. The song's name is Mafuyu no Yume, and I encourage you to go listen to it. It's actually the song playing in the background of this video right now. We then get whiplash to introduce our next character, Ritsuka Uenoyama, and we see how outwardly going he is, despite sleeping in class and seeming like being a bit lazy, but who isn't? It sets a nice stark contrast to what we saw with Mafuyu, how he was alone, seemingly in his own world, nobody interacting with him not interacting with anybody except his dog. We see Uenoyama as a man who prioritizes what's important most, sleep, as any good person should. We see him make it over to a stairwell, a common resting place for him, and we see Mafuyu there, taking his spot and clutching his guitar, which symbolizes that the guitar has a deep level of importance to him. Mafuyu moves over, and Uenoyama, being outgoing as he is, gets annoyed at Mafuyu's reluctance to speak. He makes a comment about how Mafuyu's strings are rusted and that he needs to change them. Mafuyu lights up, realizing that his guitar isn't broken and that he can fix it, and he wants Uenoyama to fix it for him, which Uenoyama declines at first. Then we get a scene of Mafuyu basically being a cute Pomeranian, annoying Uenoyama adorably, and it's so fucking cute. Oh my god, Mafuyu is adorable. The way that he sulks is adorable. He's so precious. I love him. This interaction starts a relationship, and I also love this because I love gays, I love my boys, they're so cute. This all plays out in roughly the first 5 or so minutes of the anime, and it sets up the interesting dichotomy between Uenoyama and Mafuyu, two completely separate people being drawn together by one thing, that of which being music. I can go on and on about the entire plot breakdown, but I more or less just want to focus on Mafuyu and Uenoyama here. I will say that later in the episode, we get to meet Akihiko, who is the drummer for The Seasons, and Haruki, who is the bassist for them. Both of them are actually college students. They all come from bands that didn't end up working out, and they inevitably met and saw Uenoyama. And they saw how he was basically a child prodigy, and they didn't want to let that talent go to waste, so they all formed The Seasons together. I'll mention here that they are an instrumental band. I'll talk about that more later on, and I'll talk about them more in a subsequent video, most likely. And don't forget them because they're pretty important characters because, two of them are two of the 4 main protagonists, Mafuyu is also super adamant about learning guitar and wanting to join the band itself, which Uenoyama was reluctant to at first. Here, shortly after, we see Uenoyama basically being a tsundere, not wanting to teach Mafuyu guitar despite Mafuyu's adamance. And Mafuyu then starts learning guitar elsewhere, and isn't frequenting the stairwell as much anymore due to being busy learning guitar. Uenoyama gets jealous, and it's actually super adorable, and I love it so much. We hear Mafuyu sing for the first time at the stairwell, a little beforehand. Probably should have wrote this beforehand, but whatever. And this is Uenoyama's gay awakening moment where he realizes that he likes boys and he likes Mafuyu, and holy shit, I love this scene. It makes me giddy inside because you just see Uenoyama just blush, and he's having to hide his face from Mafuyu because he doesn't want Mafuyu to sing. He's just stunned. He's taken aback by Mafuyu singing. I love it. Ueneyama was taken aback by this, and asked Mafuyu to join the band, which he declined at first. Later on, Mafuyu eventually comes to the season's band practice to Ueneyama's surprise, because Ueneyama hadn't seen Mafuyu in probably to him what felt like 5 years, because, they're in, or at least he's in love. Well, I mean, they are in love, but, he's not really hiding it. And he's like, what are you doing here? And Mafuyu basically admits to loving Ueneyama, not literally, but he says that he'd rather learn guitar from Ueneyama, which, very cute. Look at Mafuyu in his natural habitat. Seemingly not a thought in his mind, just enjoying life. But he's so precious. I love him. He's so cute. He's so cute. Back to Ueneyama real quick. We learned that he's been playing guitar ever since he was a child, and as he's grown older, the spark has been lost that he once had. We'll go over this a bit more later on. I just wanted to touch up on that real quick. One aspect about the anime that I love is that every episode is named after real-life rock songs, such as Fluorescent Adolescence being named after the Arctic Monkeys song, or Creep being named after the Stereohead song, I think. I just love this so much because it shows how much the anime producers cared about the fact that this is a music anime. Another detail that I love is that some of the names also make perfect sense considering Ueneyama mentioned some of his guitar heroes, one of which being Tom York, who wrote Creep. So they chose the names carefully as well, and it shows that they put a lot of thought into the naming process. Speaking of Fluorescent Adolescent, during that specific episode, we actually get to see one of my favorite scenes where our boys are going pedal shopping, and it's just such a cute slice of life scene, and it's such a nice bonding moment between the two. And we also once again get to see Mafuyu being an adorable Pomeranian, and we get to see him being overjoyed at just pedal shopping in general, and then we get to see him being crushed, realizing that the pedals are super expensive, so he has to put them back, and it's so cute. It's so cute and fluffy. I love it so much, and it just shows how excited Mafuyu is to just be a part of the band, be doing music, being good at guitar, learning guitar and everything like that. We get to see just pure innocence and pure joy in the scene, and I adore it so much. Here is actually where we start to get to understand Mafuyu a bit more. We get to her, and we learn from her, I actually don't remember her name, that there's a rumor around Mafuyu that he may be responsible for the death of his former lover, and this shakes Ueneyama to the core. His entire perception of Mafuyu, I won't say has been shattered, but he has a whole new perspective on him, realizing that he doesn't understand him half as much as he thought, and the rumor doesn't leave his mind. One thing that I love is that he doesn't grow to dislike Mafuyu, or think any less of him or any differently of him because of this. It just opens up a whole new perspective of Mafuyu, and he realizes that he doesn't know him as much. And speaking of this rumor, later on we actually get a one-on-one scene with Mafuyu and Haruki, which starts off as a seemingly normal conversation, with Haruki asking Mafuyu if romance is a touchy subject for him to talk about. Then Mafuyu asks Haruki if he likes someone, and Haruki kind of has a thing for Akihiko. It's actually kind of really cute. We get to see like one-on-one times with them, and it's like you get to see Haruki just having like a gay panic moment. It's great. I love it. But it quickly takes a turn when Mafuyu asks if that loved one were to suddenly disappear from the world. What would he do? How would he miss him? This is really the first time we get a deeper look into Mafuyu as a character. We've known from the beginning that he's been dealing with some sort of trauma that holds him back to some extent. And of course, we know the rumor of him being responsible for the death of his former lover. But this is the first time we explicitly hear about it from Mafuyu himself. Whoever he held near and dear to him, we know that they were taken from this earth too soon, and that Mafuyu is struggling to cope with such a thing, such a loss, and it's such an amazing depiction of grief as a whole. With grief and loss, you struggle to understand how to feel, what to feel, and really how to live your life without your loved ones there. It's hard to move on. It's hard to see yourself moving on from such a loss, and the fact that Mafuyu's delivery here sounds so dissonant and cold just adds to the scene that he's slightly numb from it. We learn that Mafuyu doesn't know how to feel about it. He was kind of asking Haruki a rhetorical question. Mafuyu doesn't know how to feel that his lover's no longer here. And we get to see that full front here. And actually, in the manga, Mafuyu's eyes are more empty and cold, which leads to it being a bit more uncomfortable and harrowing overall, and it's something I wish that the anime would have adapted, but hey, anime's perfect, love it, so oh well. Oh, and by the way, Mafuyu's lover's name is Yuki. I was going to save that for later, but I'm just going to go ahead and mention it now to avoid confusion. That way I can just say Yuki instead of having to say his lover and then make the reveal that, oh, Yuki was his lover and blah 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 blah, so yeah. As we understand Mafuyu more, the "I'm not lonely" starts to ring ever so more because we learn that he's simply lying to himself to most likely keep himself going. That, and he has his guitar, which he holds dear to him, which was something of Yuki's, so with that around, it's almost like he isn't lonely. Once again, this is beautifully symbolic of not being able to move past grief as a whole. Clinging on to someone's personal belongings almost makes it feel like that they're still there. We saw in the beginning that Mafuyu saw Yuki's body hanging in front of him, that he was holding his guitar, not being able to let go. Like I was not able to let go of his loved one dying. It's such a simple story mechanism, but it rings true. It's not easy losing someone. It's not easy accepting the fact that they're gone, and all we can do is hold on to the memories of them and their personal belongings because it means that they're still alive to us, still here with us, despite how sad it may be. Mafuyu here is lonely, but he still feels that Yuki is by his side. We can understand how Mafuyu is shut down because of Yuki's passing, and seemingly has lost motivation for a majority of things. We understand why Mafuyu seems empty-minded here. This actually ties to Uenoyama as a character as well. As mentioned earlier, we see and understand how and why he lost the spark for guitar in the first place. As he grew to master it, he grew too familiar with it, and it became tedium to keep playing since he can't improve past his current skill space. That and the older bands that he was in made him lose motivation due to them just overall being dicks. This, while not as serious as Mafuyu's case, shows loss in its own way. As you lose motivation for things you once enjoyed, you kinda just lose interest over time. You grow out of enjoying it, and overall it can really affect your life. As someone who has both gotten into music, falling out of it, and then proceeded to get back into it, it really had an effect on me. When I fell out of it, it felt like a piece of me was missing, like I was more empty inside, without purpose, because it was such an important part of my life. I imagine Uenoyama was the same way. After losing something so important to him, it's easy to see how it was affecting his day-to-day, growing more lethargic and simply bored overall. Thankfully, Mafuyu came into his life, and came into my life as well, and helped rekindle the joy of playing. Uenoyama even started writing a song because of Mafuyu, because that's how much of a change Mafuyu's brought into his life, and at the same time it shows that he loves him and that he's super gay, and I love it. In the same vein, Uenoyama helped Mafuyu as a person. We progressively see throughout the anime that Mafuyu is somewhat warming up as an individual, being close to Uenoyama, talking about things more. Here's where the real conflict and climax of the anime starts. Mafuyu is officially in the seasons, and he wants to write lyrics and sing. He was also asked to do so, but he can't put the words onto paper, struggling to do so. We see Mafuyu somewhat shut down because of this inner turmoil he's going through. He wants to do this for himself, for Uenoyama, for the band, but he can't find the words. The band booked a concert and they want to debut the song there, the song actually being the song Uenoyama was writing. The day of the concert, Mafuyu doesn't have anything prepared, and Uenoyama is upset at Mafuyu, and they get into an argument. This notably shakes Mafuyu to the point where he's clutching his guitar strings like he did when he found Yuki, and they snap, a parallel of what happened with he and Yuki. In this time, Uenoyama realizes his fault, and runs to the nearest guitar shop and grabs a new set of strings for Mafuyu, and further realizes how much he was in the wrong, realizing how much he doesn't want to drive Mafuyu away, how much he cares for him. At their concert, the band is expecting not to have Mafuyu sing. They're expecting just to be a 4-piece instrumental band, but suddenly Mafuyu starts to sing, despite the band not knowing what's going on. He's singing a song about love, about loss, how he's struggling to move on. But as the song goes on, this is where we fully get to understand Mafuyu as a character. We see through the song and through the visuals that Yuki was extremely important to Mafuyu, originally being childhood friends. Yuki was there for Mafuyu when Mafuyu's dad was abusive. They became lovers in middle school, sharing intimate moments together. We learn what really happened to Yuki. With Mafuyu and Yuki going to different high schools, they grew somewhat distant, and eventually got into an argument with each other, leading Mafuyu to say, "Would you die for me?" Of course, Mafuyu wasn't implying anything negative by this. It was a remark that he most likely didn't think about. He let his emotions overcome him, and he said something. But Yuki was really distraught by this. He then proceeded to get drunk and take his own life. This, in my opinion, shows complexities in Yuki's character. We get to understand that Yuki was not okay with him and Mafuyu growing distant. We can understand how distressed he was by the whole situation. What may seem like a normal argument to you and I was completely life-changing for the both of them. In my mind, perhaps, maybe Yuki thought this was the right thing to do, because with them going to different schools, them growing distant, maybe he felt like the love was fading when it wasn't. They were just frustrated. They were just not able to spend time with each other. Nobody is at fault here, but we can see just how through him and Mafuyu being apart, how much they were affected by this. We also learn that Mafuyu is going through some extremely serious survivor's guilt here. Obviously. We see throughout the anime, we see Mafuyu at Yuki's funeral. We learn that Yuki's family asked Mafuyu to take his guitar with them. And you can just see how visibly distraught Mafuyu is, obviously. Who wouldn't be? To Mafuyu, it must seem like that he is responsible for Yuki's death. It's hard for him to accept the fact that the one he loved is gone. It's hard for him to accept the fact that he's not there anymore. And the remarks that he made ring deep with him. They still do. Something that would just come off as a one-off comment to you and I is something that completely changed his life forever. Once again, nobody's at fault here, but I really like this scene because it's extremely complex and shows just how deep survivor's guilt, how deep that goes. You get to start thinking, what if I didn't say something? What if I didn't do this action? What if I did more? And realistically speaking, there's no way to know what would happen. There's no way to know if you could have made a difference. This is also where Uenoyama gets to fully understand Mafuyu as a person. He knew about Yuki dying, he knew Mafuyu had a lot of internal struggles, but now he gets to understand him even more. We see that after the concert, Mafuyu wasn't okay after letting it all out. Who knows how long he had been bottling all of that up. And we see Uenoyama not knowing how to comfort him in the best way. In the heat of the moment, he kissed Mafuyu, as you do with the homies. And also a little bit of an off tangent here because I know we're talking about more serious things, but I was waiting for this moment to happen for so long. I was watching this on Crunchyroll when it was airing, and I didn't have a Crunchyroll premium account or anything like that. And so, what episode was this? It was episode 9, the kiss happened, I think. Yeah, episode 9, the kiss happened. And I was just episode 9 had just came out, and the way the Crunchyroll works is that, whenever an episode comes out, you need a premium account in order to view it the day that it comes out. And if you don't have a premium account, you have to wait a week. Well, I wasn't waiting a week, and I didn't really dabble into anime piracy at the time, at least anymore in that moment in time, because I was kind of oh, whatever. So I was just shaking, anticipating, and I was fuck it. I looked it up, I watched the episode, I went to bed with the biggest smile on my face. I was so happy. I was anticipating this scene. I was waiting for it to happen. This was everything that it had been building up to, and it was so much better than I thought. I verbally screamed when it happened. I was so happy. It was so worth the wait. It was my most anticipated thing of the year. I'm being 100% honest. I loved it. It was so good. Anyways, back to the script. I really feel like the scene as a whole shows how Uenoyama is as a person. He tends to let his actions speak louder than words, and especially after he and Mafuyu had that fight, he knows that his actions for sure are louder. That kiss was also something Mafuyu needed, even if it was just the emotions getting the better of them. Mafuyu was very lonely, and that kiss proved to Mafuyu that he isn't alone, for real this time. He realizes in this moment that it's okay to move on, that he really has people again, and he realizes that it's okay to love Uenoyama. These two really make each other complete again, with Mafuyu helping Uenoyama realize his love and passion for music again, and Uenoyama helping Mafuyu through his grief, making him realize that he isn't lonely anymore. It's such a beautiful depiction of their relationship, and it shows them growing through each other, and just growing to be better people overall. Oh, and I forgot to mention, one of my favorite scenes is whenever Uenoyama basically admitted that he had a crush on Mafuyu to Akihiko. They both went outside, and Akihiko made an off comment, oh, did you put your hands on him, or whatnot, and we just see Uenoyama blushing like crazy, and Akihiko was huh? He's just stunned completely, and he just starts screaming, what did you do to him? And Uenoyama's oh, I didn't do anything yet, keyword yet. And it's so good because we get to see him just kind of come to terms with the fact that he does like Mafuyu, that he does like a guy, and you could see him having a toss-up between liking Mafuyu, because he doesn't know if those emotions are good to have. Obviously they are, but this is his first time liking a guy. This is his first time feeling those type of feelings, and so I really like that because we see Akihiko basically say it's okay to be gay. He says that, he literally does say it's okay to like men, that he's been with men himself and everything like that, and there's no shame in that. And I really like that because I imagine that a lot of the people watching this, well, I don't know if a lot of people, but I imagine that, younger, gay people watching this or anything like that would see that scene and see such, not only a beautiful depiction of, a gay relationship, or just gay people in general, but hearing that in an anime, just, it's okay to be gay. I imagine that that's like very, very justifying, and imagine that it was so gratifying to hear and everything like that. But anyways, one of my favorite scenes. I love it. Seeing the gay panic unfold, beautiful, 10 out of 10. After the show, we get possibly the best and cutest scene in the history of anime, no exceptions. Perhaps I'm being a bit hyperbolic here. The scene is adorable nevertheless. We find out that Mafuyu has come down with the sickness after the show, and so we see Ueneyama go and check up on the poor baby. We get to see sick Mafuyu, and we get to see Ueneyama having one of the best gay panic moments I have ever seen, and then we get the cutest scene in the show. I'll just let it do the talking.
帰るよ。俺いても邪魔だろ。寝てろよ。
まだいてもいい。
おめえはなんだかんだ押し強えよな。
あと5分。
Like, come on. To say my heart melted would be an understatement. Seriously. I needed a heart transplant and a pacemaker put in. I'm pretty sure when it's like anaphylactic shock or a diabetic coma or something like that. Not really. Later on, we also get another amazing scene of a Ueneyama gay panic, and we see him and Mafuyu go out on a little date together, sightseeing and things of the like, and they end up near the ocean, where Mafuyu straight up says he likes Ueneyama. Likes Ueneyama. And thus, the gays were born. Seriously though, this scene was so wonderfully done, because they were basically dating when they first met, and it's so nice to see them finally get eloped and everything like that. But really, it's just nice seeing the growth of these two. Seeing Mafuyu slowly open up as an individual to not get over Yuki, because you never get over loss, but accept the fact that he's gone, and accept the fact that it's okay to move on. And seeing Ueneyama accept the fact that he likes guys. It's so wonderful seeing these two come together like this. It's so wonderful seeing the growth of these two. And finally seeing Mafuyu be happy after who knows how long, knowing how long he's been struggling, was one of the best scenes. I mean, that smile was so precious. I loved it so much. And knowing that these two are in a loving relationship with each other is just the perfect conclusion to this. Well, conclusion for now, because we still have another movie on the way, and you know, we have a movie and an OVA and everything like that, but conclusion for the anime. Seeing how the story treated grief, survivor's guilt, and trauma in such a mature and nuanced way is what makes me just adore this. It feels so natural and refreshing, and it's such a wonderful depiction of gay relationships as a whole. Boys Love in any manga is known for having a not so great rap with fetishizing a lot of aspects, a lot of problematic aspects, and seeing this be super respectful to gay people and progressive in its own right, and seeing how struggles and matters in this anime aren't trivialized or taken lightly is what makes me respect and love this even more than I normally would. I feel represented in many ways with this anime, and I just adore it. This anime is just one of my favorite, not only just because it's gay, you know, I love the gays, but I also love it because it's one of the most realistic depictions of grief I have ever seen in a form of media. Thank you for watching if you made it through the video. I'm hoping the video was entertaining or captivating for you all. If anybody has any critiques or criticisms or anything like that, feel free to let me know. I know that, like, well, one, first video, two, kind of just doing that as a little hobby, but I still want to make stuff that's somewhat entertaining, somewhat good, so if anybody has, like, constructive criticism or critiques, feel free to let me know. Let me know what I need to change, if I need to change my scripting, because I know I can come off as a robotic individual. I mean, my voice is pretty monotonous. Is that a word? Monotone-esque. And I know my writing can come off as stiff and robotic, but I hope I was able to word myself properly. I'm hoping that I was able to speak properly. And yeah, like I said, first video. I hope it's good. I hope it gives a good first impression. Yeah, thank you very much for making it to the end. Thank you very much for checking it out. Yeah, that's all I can really say is thank you. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch a silly little dude ramble on the internet for no reason. So, thank you.
Bye bye! Bye bye!